Hello! I'm excited to record this episode this week out in nature. I must give credit to my lovely cosmic friend Christian Joy, who records her episodes while she's taking a walk. And I must recommend you listen to her podcast. Actually, I'll link it in the notes below. But she's inspired me to record an episode outside while walking in nature. The sun's shining, the sky's blue. It's nice and silent because I'm a little bit away from where I live in my, how would you say, housing estate or neighbourhood. There are a lot of dogs barking. And I'm kind of away from that, like in pure countryside. It's just like a little pathway with you'd kind of think it would be a deserty kind of thing, like a grassy desert with a few hills here and there. And there's a random hill right in front of me on the right with a path, and on the top of the hill you can't see it from here, but if you can from the back, on the top of the hill is a seat. And I climbed up the hill one day because I love climbing up random hills if they're accessible, and I found like a seat made from pallets, wooden pallets. So I sat up there, and the views are just another thing. So I must try to put this picture in this video and for you to see the views. So I feel really lucky to live near there. Anyway, so recording an episode connecting to nature actually is something that can help us open our channels, our pathways, our inspiration, our creativity, because we're being cleansed as we walk, which is a lovely mindful thing to do to help us cleanse our energy, especially after a long day's work or first thing in the morning, which is, I think, a number one objective that I would love to say must take on, but nobody has to do anything. We have free will, but I highly recommend that we take on the objective this year, like we said in the last podcast, of just really focusing on keeping our energy fields clear, cleansed, recharged. Because if you work with people, and I do, if you work with people, not only working with people but also being connected empathically to people and putting yourself in their shoes like a natural human does, we can, without even knowing, pick up on those energies. And a lot of energy that we do pick up can latch onto us unless it's cleansed. And we can naturally cleanse these energies without even knowing as well, through working out in the gym, walking in nature, swimming in the sea, but with the intention of cleansing our energy in the morning, especially in the morning, and last thing at night. We have so much more control of how we feel and what energy we allow into our energy field as well. So this doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the easier it is, the more likely we'll do it every day. And before we even get out of the bed, we can set an intention to get into the shower and cleanse our energy in the shower, and imagine that water just completely cleansing any debris, releasing any stagnant energy, unblocking any blocks, and feel it just washing down the drain to be then converted back to beneficial energy. And then with that imagery in your mind for 5 minutes, just really cleansing, and while breathing in deeply, in and out deeply. It gives us a really mindful shower experience, but we also step out of the shower not only feeling clean physically, but also completely energetically ready for the day. And then, when we do cleanse our energy, to imagine it then filling that water, filling our energy body with light. It's important when we cleanse something to then fill that space with light or love or whatever kind of recharging energy that comes to your mind. I usually fill myself with white light. So, and then remember to seal ourselves in a circle of protected energy protection, a circle of protection like a cocoon that protects our energy body, energy fields, and then that basically arms us for the day. So I really do recommend trying it out for the rest of your life, literally, because I have noticed when I do it every morning and in the evening, if I have the energy to cleanse my energy body before I go to sleep, the dreams are next level. Like, I can really tap into my dreams and, even kind of control my dreams. And if you're looking to receive any answers, that's a really good way to find them in your dreams. They usually come through in a kind of... They don't come through like, this is what you should do. You usually get symbols or some sort of analogies, or you kind of have to make sense of that then. Which is why recording our dreams is really important, because when we are dreaming and we have this like a totally random dream, unless we verbalize it or kind of put it to paper, it's hard to make sense of what's happening. Now, not all dreams carry messages. Some dreams are just your brain conceiving what happened and then mixing it all up together. But there are a lot of messages in other dreams too. So don't worry too much if your dreams come across as absolutely bizarre, because that just might mean, that you're under stress or you're feeling anxious, or, there's a worrying time happening. So don't worry too much if it's that. You kind of know the messagey dreams. You just know intuitively without even knowing how. So energy cleansing is so important this year. Well, it's always been important, but even now, because we're evolving, we're kind of stepping into an upgraded version of ourselves. So it's important to just cleanse, recharge. Let's also keep in mind to not be too hard on ourselves. I find that another huge thing that I really deeply suggest doing this year is being aware of our self-talk. Just the way we talk to ourselves is probably one of the most important things we need to focus on. And there's no blame. Even to be angry with ourselves for talking not in the highest way to ourselves is, our emotions toward ourselves and how we speak to ourselves is one of the biggest foundations of healing our self-worth, allowing us to get what we want. It can put a block on money abundance. It can prevent us from having the relationships that we deserve. So our self-talk is it's something that we should really be aware of. And just by being the observer without even judging, just looking. Imagine that you're outside of yourself. Hold on, there's some cyclists coming. So I love that they're having like a full-blown conversation, like 90 miles an hour, speeding by. Oh, here comes another one. Voila. This is like a bicycle track. So it's a cycle track. There are lots of amazing cycle tracks in Madrid, in Spain, in fact, since the weather kind of is on their side. But what I was saying is self-talk. Just try and make that your biggest objective. If self-talk is something you need to work on, maybe we don't even need to work on our self-talk. Maybe that's something in the past. But if you're finding it difficult to reach an objective, either get the job you want, find the relationship that you deserve, or saving any kind of things that you'd like to attract into your life, self-talk might be that biggest block. Because if we're not kind to ourselves, and if we're not loving ourselves and talking to ourselves the way we would talk to a little baby, you know, or a 5-year-old child, well then that is like lacking. It's like pushing. It's not allowing our self-confidence to grow and our self-worth to bloom, which is connected to our heart and our solar plexus chakra. So, which can be connected to different issues in our stomach area, you know, in our heart area. Watch out for those. If you have any issues in your back or anything around that area, your middle back to higher back, it could all be connected to our self-talk, which is really curious. Because the way we speak to ourselves holds energy. And if we're not speaking to ourselves for our highest good and our highest love, that can hold trapped energy in our body, around our heart area and our stomach area. And there could develop into problems in our back or blockages, and actually but block us in having the relationships that we really want, that we really need. Our partner relationships, our friend relationships, boss relationships, working relationships, whatever it is, that's a big block. So if this resonates with you, that's great. If it doesn't, if anything doesn't resonate with you in these episodes ever, that's absolutely okay too. Hola! There's a little dog. And there are two people on either side of this path with, I hope this isn't triggering for anyone now, they're with shotguns, and I think they might be hunting rabbits. So here am I walking up this lovely path in my protection bubble with two hunters on either side of me with their doggies. I'm sure their dogs are there to hunt the rabbits, and I'm like it's not affecting me at all because of my circle of protection. And maybe it's not that either, you know. So it's funny. Things are funny. I'm curious. And that's literally what we have to look at things, is funny. The more we laugh in this game, this skill game, this earth skill game, the more we'll win. Because it's just a matter of laughing at things these days. You know, especially the absurd ones. The more absurd, the bigger the laugh. But yes. So, how I ended up on this trail of thought is another thing. Anyway, so going back to our self-talk. Yes. So this objective is working on our energy body, observing how we talk to ourselves. That's being not being too hard on ourselves. We're doing the best we can in the best situation. And even if we're not, if we feel like we're not doing the best we can, it's because we need a break. We need to take a step back. And maybe doing the best I can isn't, maybe doing the best we can may not be the objective for that moment in time. Whatever it is, it's important to give ourselves a little self-hug in everything we do. Even if it's something that we shouldn't have done, we can see it as a learning. You know, that's something I know I won't do again. But if we do it again, well, then that's another learning. So, you know, just laugh it off. It really is okay. Our self-talk can also prevent us in getting better and improving our health. So, just as of this moment, take in a deep breath, connect yourself to the earth. Because our lovely Mother Earth is cradles us every single day. And I'm so grateful for her. And the more grateful we are and the more love we give to Mother Earth, Gaia, you know, the more we'll feel protected and grounded and supported. So take in a deep breath and give yourself a big self-hug. Because you deserve it. We all deserve it. I deserve it. You deserve it. We all deserve this big squeezy self-hug. So it's part of your morning routine and evening routine, as well as cleansing your energy, recharging your energy body and protecting. Let's give ourselves a big, huge, squeezy self-hug. No matter what you think you've done right or wrong, you deserve a big self-hug. And be aware of self-talk and how we speak to ourselves. So that's just one thing I really wanted to talk about, because it's like the basis of everything. Our self-talk, it's the basis of our growth, our spiritual growth, our physical growth, our emotional development, our relationships, all of that. And sometimes we can be really hard on others because we're hard on ourselves, firstly. And it all reflects back to us, you know. It's like a mirror. How we treat others, you know, is a reflection of how we treat ourselves. And maybe our treating ourselves, it could be worse, you know. But then it can go absolutely flip ways. And we treat others way better than we should treat ourselves because we put others first. It's one thing that a lot of people put others first, which is nice, but we're neglecting ourselves, you know. So it's like setting boundaries, loving ourselves first before we can love others more. So I want to just comment on one of the things that we spoke about last week with Lona, and it was just being mindful of what we're watching, listening to, interacting with, I suppose. And this is a part of, obviously, this is also a part of protecting our energy. So over the last while especially, there's been a lot of noise on the media. And nowadays, more than ever before, we're more addicted to technology, which is okay. No judgment, no self-anger, only self-hugs allowed. But it's another thing to be aware of, is what we're feeding our eyes. What we're feeding our eyes through media, and being aware of how much our attention is being absorbed. And if our attention is being absorbed by the right things, this is just all self-empowerment. It's nothing to be worried about, stressed about, or fearful about. The objective is to conquer any fear, to not allow fear in, only self-hug and self-love. And by the way, it's okay to be fearful. We're humans as well. But to see where that fear comes from, find out of the root of that fear, and to to basically ask fear what it wants to tell us. But that's another episode. It's another day, another episode, another coping skill. So what I'm trying to say is to be aware of what we're giving our attention to. Like, of course, it's okay to disconnect and watch a series and something that you need to just forget. You need to forget the day. You want to forget the world. You want to just laugh your ass off. And that is really good medicine, you know. Flicking on Instagram, watching funny things like Lona and I were talking about on our last episode. It's really important to, like, look at these little funny comedians. Whoever it is makes your whatever it is that makes your heart lift and your spirits lift, and for you to laugh a little bit more. All of that is amazing. But just the content that we're watching, we're absorbing, or maybe our brains are being brainwashed, just to be aware and discern better of what we're looking at, what we're allowing in. Because there are a lot of fear-inspiring content online, or fear-provoking, anger-provoking content online. And sometimes it's good to follow up on where that fear deeply originates in ours. Is it an ancestor thing? Is it our fear? Are we just taking on the fear of others, the anger of others? Is there anything that needs to be healed? So it can, not only can it be a good navigation tool to find out where those fears and angers, it can also help us grow more. But then there's a limit. You know, are we constantly living in fear and anger? Are we constantly living in fear and anger because of a deep inner cause? You know, a desire to fight for freedom, which is absolutely understandably okay. You know, if our deep inner guidance is like, you know, we need to protest against this and that in order to make change. Well, that's okay, because that's a fear and anger that's driving us to do good and make change in this world where change is imminent. And what if that fear and anger is affecting our lives and preventing us from moving in the direction that we want to be moving in, or it's preventing us from taking the right steps in our lives? Well, then we need to just be aware of the content that we're consuming and maybe go deep within and cleanse our energy. One thing that I think that some comments I've received over the last year regarding mindfulness and meditation is that it doesn't fucking work for me. I'm like, that's okay. It's not, everything isn't supposed to work for everyone. We all have our own ways of connecting within. When I say connecting within, it means, you know, just connecting to our heart. So it could be walking in nature, listening to our favourite music, could be reading, could be breathing intensely. When I say intensely, I mean, you know, focusing on our breath in order to connect to our heart. I was listening to an episode of, it was Pam Gregory, and she was talking to a guy. He was a doctor of physics, I think. I'll link this in the show notes as well. But the recent episode on Pam Gregory's YouTube channel was about the infinity point that this scientist discovered through quantum physics, or along those lines. But he was describing how he feels when he connects to his infinity point, which is, you know, your heart. It's through your heart that you connect to this infinity point, which is eternal wisdom. And what Lona was saying, that 144 number, which is like 0 point or 0.0 that we can connect to, which gains us access or gives us access to our inner wisdom, eternal wisdom. All that is, was, were, just everything. This guy that was talking to Pam, his name is Dr. David something, was saying that when we connect to our heart, it's like a tickle on our heart, and I completely resonated with that. They always described when we connect into our heart, when we're in nature and we're in a state of gratitude, and it feels like love, and it feels like a tickle on your heart. It's like a little feather is tickling your heart. And I loved that analogy. It's like a heart tickle. Or when you first meet someone and you're falling in love with them, and that love, that's that feeling when we connect to our 0 point, our infinity point. Just when we're doing the things we love with the people we love. So yeah, that's that rant out of the way. I'm open to any more rants now, if anyone would like to send me information. Talking to these lovely energies that are floating around me right now. I mentioned before that I love January, because I can feel the stillness, just the calmness, all of the exhale, the relief, a new year, even though the Chinese New Year is in February, which is when it really energetically kicks off. But this new January, new number in the calendar, is just such a refreshing vibe. And I really love January. And I'm trying to embrace every single day in January, even though it's freezing cold outside. It's just a nice time to reflect. Some people see January as blue, like a blue month or blue Monday, where they feel the pinch, which is understandable, because after Christmas a lot of people find themselves low on funds, or a little bit tight. But for me, I just love January more and more every year. And it's funny because now that I speak about money and feeling the pinch, like, there are so many things that we need money for, but do we? Like, do we really? I find that the more, I think money is becoming less and less important to me these days. It's so curious, because the more we work on our root chakra, which is connected to our basic needs, financial needs, the more we connect to the earth and know that we'll always be provided for. What we truly and always need will always be provided for, with that ingrained into my energy. And that it's such a safety net. I've never felt so comfortable in knowing that everything that I need and the things that I want that are the right things for me will always be provided for. It's just, life is just that much easier. Life isn't easy at all for most people, depending on how they see the world. But that just safety net of knowing that I'll always be provided for, through working on releasing any lack of money issues around our root chakra. It's just so empowering. So I'm like, there are a lot of things that our house needs in order to, we need reformations, we need this, we need that. We need lots of things done in our house. But I feel very content and very wealthy, on an energetic level. And that's something that I would love for everyone to feel. And they can. It's a matter of just working on our energy, our chakras, our energy centers. So, realistically, the bottom line of everything that we could possibly want and need, is all comes down to our energetic body, which is connected to our life experience, of course. Our past, our ancestors, our DNA. It's all connected energetically. And And the more we work on those simple energetic, the more we connect to our heart center, the easier we can let go of those blockages and energy imbalances, and the more we just solutionize our life, if that even makes sense, the more we resolve, those imbalances in our life, the issues, the problems, the ancestral trauma. It seems so easy, but it's just a matter of habit. I make it sound so easy, but it requires consistent work and dedication to our hug-filled selves. So yes, another thing that I've found when walking in nature is that if you're looking for a solution to a problem, getting outside of your house clears your mind, obviously because of the oxygen that you're breathing, and the deeper we breathe, the more we can clear our mind. But it also, sometimes we can find sometimes it's difficult to think clearly and find a solution because we've constant thoughts in our minds. But when we are walking in nature and we focus on our breath in and out, and we don't even need to focus on our breath if that's something you're not into, but I do recommend it as an empowering aid to help you find solutions. But if you are looking for a solution, get out there into nature and just walk on a physiological level, on a physical body level. Your endorphins start to flow, your stress levels lower, our nervous system calms down, and our lungs and our minds are, refreshed with oxygen. But also, we can also just unblock the pathways of receiving guidance and inspiration from ourselves, from our higher selves, ourselves, or if you're somebody who connects to your guides and angels, that pathway is open when we're out in nature and walking. Being around animals as well. If you're somebody who has a pet, that's amazing. Being around pet just really helps us clear out those stress levels. But if you're not, that's okay. If you're not somebody who's into animals, if you're somebody who's more a nature person, or if you're someone who doesn't even like nature or animals, stepping into the shower, having a lovely bath, with lovely Epsom salts. Or if you're not into Epsom salts, just having a bath just cleanses all of those stagnant energies. If you don't have a bath, well, imagination is everything, because we are energetic bodies. Our bodies are made of energy. So we can imagine just anything. Stepping into a cloud, stepping through a waterfall and cleansing, releasing all of that stress and anxiety and worry and overwhelm, or anything we need to let go of. Or if we want to find an issue to a problem, imagining ourselves swimming in the sea and finding the answer. Or anything. Our imagination is just what gets us where we want to go in our lives. Imagine we didn't have an imagination. Where would our lives go? We'd just be like a Ginny Joe blowing in the breeze, not knowing where to go. So, thanks to us seeing ourselves in the position we want to work, or imagining ourselves in the house we want to live in, or creating the perfect partner, whatever it is, we've always imagined it first. We've always seen it in our minds firstly. So it makes sense to use our imagination, doesn't it? To get to where we want to go. So I hope you've enjoyed my spiel in nature, inspired by Kristen Joy. And I hope that you might be able to do it too. As I look at my phone, it's 1212, number sequence. Have a look up 1212 and see what that means if you are listening to this. And are you somebody who spots number sequences? Do you ever look up the meaning? Now, one thing about this is when I look up the meaning of a number sequence, sometimes there are different messages. So you can have an angel explanation, or you can come across an explanation that's completely different. So there are lots of answers, or there are lots of explanations for number sequences sometimes. So the message that's trying to get through to you is the one that resonates more. So if you read something, you're like, yes, that's it. Well, then that's the message for you. But if you read a few more meanings of what that number might mean, that may not resonate for you. And in fact, it might even make you think, wow, this is a load of crap, because there are too many definitions. So the way to discern which one is the right one for you is the one that makes your heart say yes. So that was something that came into my mind in the last episode, and I forgot to say it. And that's just tapping into our intuition as well. You know, our own inner guidance through our feelings and our heart.
I hope you enjoyed my nature walk spiel. It was actually lovely. Excuse my heavy breathing, if you want to call it that. But I highly recommend you go out for a walk. It's definitely something I'll do again. So open your ears for some more of this nature walk juiciness. But yes, it's something I definitely do again, to have a walk in nature, maybe at a slower pace, because I'm just listening back. And I'm a person who loves to bait up the road, means walk really fast when I'm walking. I'm walking really fast and recording a podcast episode. Doesn't really gel, but sure, look it. There was some nice information there that hopefully might be some guidance to anyone who's open to receiving it, or not, because take on what you think's useful, discard what you don't, and that's what it's all about. And this reminds me of another thing. I love the way one thought just leads to another thought. This reminds me of sometimes we come across information or in a situation where we necessarily don't want to be or don't want to listen to, but there's a learning there. And I remember hearing this from a podcast, of course, because that's all I listen to, is there was some useful information in a podcast, and it was advice to open your ears to every situation, no matter what your beliefs are. Whether you're politically minded and you're usually a left-winger, and left and right, how divided they are, which is one big huge reason why I'm not really into politics at all. But if we have an open mind, we could learn something from the other side. We could find similarities, that we didn't expect to find when we have an open mind. So sometimes when we're in a situation where we really would rather not be, there's a surprising learning. And that's exactly what happened to me yesterday. And I can't wait to tell you all about it, but in the next episode, because I'm sure your ears are burnt off you at the moment. But I can't wait to tell you about a learning and lots of pieces fitting into the puzzle of life, but it has to wait till the next episode. And it was a situation that I would have rather not be in, but I did it for a deeper reason that you'll find out in the next episode. I'm really dying to tell you all about it now, but I just can't, because the real message will be lost, and this deserves its own episode. So, conclusion: if you find yourself in a situation where you'd rather not be, there could be a little learning. Keep your ears open and your mind open. And let me know if it does. Thank you for your open ears and your open heart and your open mind, hopefully. And if anything, if you did get anything from this episode, I'm so glad. But if you didn't, that's okay. Maybe next time. Sending big love to everyone. Take care.